Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of the heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people. Religion's honestly the biggest illusion man has ever created. People use it to cope from the suffering of what life truly is. It gives them the strength in order to live. If religion vanished or did not exist, how do you think the current state of the world would live? Do you think people would just off themselves? Or do you think people would become more violent? Like, where do morals come from? A lot of people say that they are God-given rights. However, are morals and rights natural, or are they just made up from what we created? Would life be all doom and gloom without religion, or would everything just be the same? One thing I do like about religion, as someone who is an artist, the art that came with the Renaissance will always be beautiful, and nothing will ever beat those masterpieces that come with it. The architecture in Europe is absolutely crazy. It's nothing that we could probably make today. We probably don't even have the resources to make stuff like that anymore. All we make now are like cereal box buildings at this point, and everything is just very gray, which is kind of weird. Back in college, I did live alone. I lived alone for probably 3 years, so most of college. So I had a lot of time to think, and I did take a couple of philosophy classes because I had extra credits and I didn't really know what to take. And I just really enjoyed learning about philosophy. I ended up actually getting a minor in philosophy as well as a psych major. I started off as a neuro major, but I ended up switching to psychology because they were making me take classes I didn't want to take. But anyways, so I started questioning religion a lot more as I started questioning death a lot as well. I didn't grow up in a religious household at all. We did go to church for a few years. Probably when I was like 6 or 7 is when we stopped going. I don't really know how old I was. I don't know why my family stopped going. Maybe it was because me and my brother would complain about every time we went, and we would go into the basement and play with like Legos or something. Who knows? Maybe when we were younger, we still understood that this was a bunch of bullshit. I mean, both my parents believed in God. Well, at least to this day, I think my mom still does. And then I don't know if I think my dad did before he passed, but I'm not too sure. We did go to the Greek Orthodox Church when we were younger. The Greek side of the family is still really religious to this day. So my dad's side of the family is the Greek side of the family, which is religious. And then my mom's side of the family did not care they did not care about religion at all. I have some say that they were like spiritual and all this other stuff. I don't really know. I think we were just given a choice when we were growing up. I believe that's what my parents wanted, to create our own story instead of having a story written for us from like a religious scripture. And I think they wanted us to think for ourselves and kind of figure it out by ourselves. As far as I know, I was told God was a feeling. However, I have never felt that feeling before, so I don't particularly understand it. What am I supposed to feel exactly? Like, is it your void being filled up with a sense of purpose? Is that what you're supposed to feel? Because that's what I feel like it's doing. At least that's the only way I could kind of think of it. Because what else are you supposed to be feeling? While I was living in college, I was writing a lot. I was journaling a lot because it was more for like mental health reasons, but I was questioning God a lot at this time. And I was more on the atheist side of things. However, I was never like a militant atheist where I would go out of my way to tear someone down or anything like that. I would definitely question their beliefs quite a bit and try to understand where they're coming from, but I couldn't really understand and never felt anything. So I took a philosophy of religion class, and it's honestly one of the hardest classes I ever took. But it was during COVID, so I honestly did not pay attention a lot just because everything was online, and I just don't learn that way. I struggle a lot learning like that because I ended up just like playing guitar during COVID like most of the time. It's not a bad thing. I learned guitar pretty well, and I just cheated on most of my tests as much as I could. But I don't know, COVID, I couldn't really learn anything, and it was my last year of college basically what had happened, or like junior year of college. But anyways, there were just so many questions to ask about religion, and I was like, that probably just pushed me over the edge to the point where I was like, if I have to question this much about it, maybe it's just fucking made up. Honestly, it's kind of nicer to just not have to think about it all the time because I can just move on with my life. Like, they're only beliefs and not facts. But then again, most of life kind of just feels not real to me. It feels just like more of an illusion. Like, life is just weird, and I just like flow through it because that's the only way I can like get through the day without going through like a crisis. I think religion is just cope. Like, I think people just need to know that's just how they need to like live through their life, and that's how they get through everything. Because people don't want to question everything. They just want it to have just be answered, which is, I feel like that's kind of boring. Like, I feel like everything should be worth questioning. Considering religion is an illusion anyways, I don't think that's the only issue with it. Nowadays, religion isn't even like religion anymore. It's more of an institution and a commodity thanks to capitalism. God is dead, and he has been replaced by consumerism at this point. Because God used to give people a sense of purpose and fill a void, but now it's just people are filling their void with money and clothes and jewelry and all this other nonsense. And consumerism, people love to consume. Not saying that you shouldn't spend your money. I mean, it is kind of hard to start spending your money on hobbies nowadays just because everything's so expensive. You have to fill that void somehow, and God said you must buy everything, right? Nowadays, I think I'm going to write a video on this about AI kind of turning into God, but that's a completely different video. I just think everything is used for profit nowadays, and I think God and the church and all this other stuff are basically doing the same thing. They're just institutions and commodities and all this other stuff. That's not the only thing that bugs me about religion, but the people also kind of weird me out too. It's like honestly kind of weird how people can like devote themselves like so strictly to religion. It's just their life. I understand that maybe they grew up with it, and that's maybe why I'm not religious, but it's odd to me where they think that God has all the answers, and if you pray that everything is just going to be all right. I don't think that's how life really is. Most of the questions in life are not going to be answered, and that's something you have to be okay with. And knowledge is great and all, but you still have to be okay with not having everything answered. If you want to have God to answer those questions, then be my guest. But that's not how I want to live my life. I don't like having religion shoved down my throats, and I don't like shoving atheism down anyone else's throats. That's how I like to live my life. It's just weird because a lot of religious people have a tendency to act morally virtuous compared to like other people. I just noticed a lot of them don't really practice what they preach. All those people who are like born again Christians as well, just so they can hide behind a book, and now that they have like a new identity, right? And now they can be accepted into a new group. It just rubs me the wrong way. Also, I was like hanging with this girl a few years back, and we honestly got along really well. And I started to like her at the beginning, and then the more I got to know her, I was kind of just like, you're not it. I think it's just because her religion was getting in the way for me, and I just was like, I don't really want to date someone like that. It's just like a personal preference. And it's kind of weird too, because like we were like sending each other memes and stuff, and like she was saying this meme in context and like ended up saying like the N-word. I understand it was in context and stuff, and it wasn't the hard R, but I was kind of just like thrown off a little bit. I was like, I don't know. Like, memes are one thing just because it's Instagram and all this other crap, but kind of say it out loud just is not weird. But then again, she didn't like the C word. I was like, that's weird. I'm like, they're both terrible in their own kind of ways. It was just someone I was like seeing at one time. I was like, nope, not it. So I don't think I'd probably go out my way to date a religious person either. I had some other things to say too, but I don't really remember what I was going to say. I don't know. I just play Pokemon, and that's basically what this video is going to be about, is that religion is cope, and maybe to spark on some kind of controversy in the comments if I ever get any more of traction in my videos. But anyways, guys, I don't know. All I have to say is that society has to move as slow as its slowest person, and that's all I'm going to say. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.